Well, hello. It's the A to Z podcast in Akron, Ohio. I'm Zach Jackson in Arlington, Texas with Brad Hand and Rosie Palm. He's Andre Knott. How are you, buddy?
Hey,
I've been sitting on that one for 3 days.
Yeah, sometimes we say a bad word on here, and sometimes I call Zach a bitch. But that's okay. We love each other. We truly do. And how this podcast started today and however you guys get it, we hope you're enjoying the fruits and labors of your summer because this is the time to do it. But how this all came together is I saw something quirky from Zach on Twitter. If you follow either one of us on Twitter, you know that we're complete opposites. He's the mature, snooty, by his nose stuck up better than everybody else on Twitter with all his rules and only so many people he follows. Me, I use bad grammar. I use bad words. So I don't use bad words. Sometimes I use bad grammar. Sometimes I don't use commas. Sometimes I use misspellings because I really don't give a fuck because it's not a spelling bee and it's not a college course. And I don't get paid. Well, actually, I do. Well, Get-Go, you the best. Get-Go, you
So now we're going to do 30 minutes of arguing about Twitter grammar, I see. So go ahead and turn us off now. Thanks for coming.
Dude, I give you credit for what you're good at, but at the same time, you can be a Twitter snob. But I will admit, and I don't even like getting into Twitter squabbles with you because I always know you got something witty and something. I almost used the word that got me in trouble. You always use little witty things. And you get your little jabs in, and you made fun of my Air Maxes, and you made fun of the size 7s, and I kept attacking back, and then I realized, oh shit! On the podcast, the one time I did tell the story where I got got by a Chinese company on some, but those I would never take a picture of them Air Maxes, and I wear a size 11, man. Me and Francisco Lindor fight about this all the time. I'm like, you can say whatever you want, but I got a bigger size foot than you. So there's that. So happy Saturday, happy Sunday, happy whatever day you listen to this. We appreciate you guys being here. White Claw, as my wife said, it's changed. She said, because I told her we were podcasting, and she goes, man, that White Claw's really changed Zach's life. she goes, he's making you podcasts this early in the morning just so he can get back on the White Claw. I go, it is Saturday. We got to let the man be the man.
All day charity golf outing, all night celebration, and woke up with little to no hangover. So shout out White Claw. Thanks for the tweets and thanks for paying attention to the podcast. Have your people call my people. They're our future sponsor. Our current sponsors are Cleveland Scene, the Honeymoon Grill, and American Fireworks, AmericanFireworks.com. Really good folks. They sponsor our Glory Days segment. If you're new here, you're probably wondering what the hell you've stumbled into based upon these first 3 minutes. That's okay. We'd love you. We'd love to have you back. If there's kids around, if you're easily offended, if you just don't like four-letter words in general, find another podcast or put on some earbuds and roll. One other note that I have to say, Dre, so I've mentioned before my cousin owns Barberton Speedway. They race on Saturdays, and it's a real shaky weather situation. And you guys think I'm bad at technology. He is 1,000 times worse, so I'm his Facebook guy. So anyway, what I'm trying to say is if my phone rings and there's an announcement on whether there is or isn't going to be racing tonight that has to reach a lot of people before they pull their big cars and trucks out and go do this, I'm going to have to answer this call during the podcast. So just a warning of whatever we're talking about, wherever we are, if his number pops up, I got to do it, and maybe it'll provide some unintentional comedy here on A to Z.
Right. Well, we can deal with it. We can use it. I think if you come to this podcast, I think you're ready for the unknown. I think that's kind of what we're good at, or we're gooder at. I will say, man, you must have been hanging out with the Adamsons a lot because you slip slide and skid away from the controversial Twitter things that I was saying.
No, I just wanted to make sure I got the announcements out because I needed to say that more than anything because I don't want to answer a phone call on a podcast without telling you, but it's something you would do.
Absolutely, I would.
And listen, let's address that.
Go ahead.
Okay.
Go ahead.
You're right. I am a Twitter snob, okay? And I know that rubs some people the wrong way, including you, and you've jokingly bitched back at me. You've non-jokingly bitched back at me. However, as we like to say, the truth is in the middle in sports and in life almost all the time, right? There is a difference between that, which I am and have been guilty of, and me saying it's not that much to ask a goddamn adult to know you're and you're and two and two, right?
I don't disagree, but all right, to that point, let's stop there because that's a good start. I really, I mean, you don't bother me because I know you. We're friends. We bust balls regardless, and we all bust balls about something that we're better at than someone else, or we're more comfortable than someone else. I personally, and you're right, the yours, the two, theirs, and I know all of those, but sometimes, like, and you know my life, I'm Mr. Multitask, and I do it way too much. But half the time, when I get somebody trying to be a smartass with me because I used the number 2 rather than T00 I'm text so much. I'm tweeting text so much but I know how to do it. TOO. But I'll use 2 sometimes. Why? It's easier, motherfucker. And I'm doing something else. And I'm trying to feed my kid. Or I'm trying not to get hit by a 90-mile-per-hour baseball. Or I'm trying to look in the stands at somebody. I got other shit that's going on, but I got something funny to say. So get over it.
Step away from the Twitter.
I crack, like, and I'm not saying you so much because you are like we bust balls regardless, right. But I just crack up at people that get off on reading something. To me, when I'm on Twitter, I'm not reading like a New York Times bestseller.
I understand.
Right? That's what
I understand.
You know, like if I go out and I buy a book or magazine, you know, when I'm on the air, I try to speak grammatically correct. But when I'm not, and when I'm doing this podcast, I don't give a shit. I'm just being a person. I'm having a conversation. And to me, when someone instantly reads something on Twitter and they go, "Oh, you didn't put a comma in the right place." Well, hey, asshole, are you there to read it or are you there to grade it? What's your point? Like, really, you're on Twitter grading people's grammar? Congrats on your life.
Fair. But wouldn't you agree that when you read something that someone posts, and there's an error in it, you kind of cringe, or is that just me?
Well, let me see. It depends. It depends what you're talking about, and what you're voicing. Like, remember when LeBron left? I can go into things I've made mistakes with. When LeBron left, and I wrote that thing, you know, where I was like, "Hey, this is just my thoughts." I literally had just got done going to breakfast and walked out of a Lucky Jeans store in Kansas City. It was 95 degrees. Josh Tomlin was busting my balls from across the street, spying me as he was eating lunch, telling me, "Quit looking around and get back and go buy something for my wife." And I just read, like, I was waiting for my lunch or whatever else. And I was just on Twitter, and everybody was breaking down the billboard, you know, situation and what should go up there and what shouldn't go up there. And literally, Zach, it was just the first thoughts that came to my mind. It was long-winded. So I wrote it out. I've progressed. I've learned from you. Rather than making one long tweet, I went to my notebook. I went right to notes, and I typed out as I was waiting for my lunch to get prepared. And I just typed out exactly what I was thinking at the time. I wasn't trying to post something for The Athletic. I wasn't trying to post something on the Fox Sports website. It was just my thoughts that I was quickly throwing out as I was waiting to get my noodles with a little shrimp in it. It's my shrimp bangkok. That's what I was waiting on. That's what I was doing. And I got Josh Tomlin talking shit to me, telling me to go buy something for my wife and stop being cheap.
So I totally agree. Like, I've made errors. Now, maybe it's just me that it makes me sick and keeps me up at night if I do something silly or I immediately delete it and go do that. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying.
It's your profession, though. It's what you do.
Well, yes, so but in everything, Dre, the presentation matters, right?
Yeah, but yes, but does it really matter that much? Like, unless you're making $100,000 a year off of Twitter, how much does it matter?
Well, where can I get that job?
Right. There's somebody out there that's doing it, or somebody that's saying it to somebody. Trust me. I mean, okay, perfect example is to go off of what you're saying. Last night, my first hit during the game. Not a hit of a joint, not a hit of a drug. We say hit when I go on the air sometimes for the dumbasses out there. The first time I went on the air in the second inning of the game yesterday, Yandy Diaz comes up, and I stumbled through everything I wanted to say. I had everything figured out how I wanted to say it. I don't do things that are scripted. I'm very much I'm usually better live. But I have notes. Like, I've shown you, you know this. Like,
sure.
People make fun of me. People make fun of me that know me because I have like last night I got in after the game, and we went and got a couple beers after the game, and one of the people I work with texted me at like 2 a.m. He's like, "Dude," he goes, "I was in the hallway and I found all these notes," and he goes, "I'm pretty sure it's your handwriting." They had fell out of my book bag when I was getting into my room, and he was like laughing. He's like, "Dude, you take take unbelievable notes. And I was like, you're drunk. Put them away. But my point is, I stumbled all through my first hit yesterday. It was the first time I was back on the air in a week. Just like anything else, you need to practice and you need to be prepared. I wasn't good my first time around. And that bothered me until the 8th inning of the game last night, because it's my profession. It's what I do. Sure. It's what I practice. It's what I'm around. I didn't use the right verb tense. And because I didn't use the right verb tense early on, I was pissed off and I lost the train of thought of what I was trying to say. So it just sounded terrible on the air. I didn't like it. And my producer laughed instantly in my ear, and he was like, all right, welcome back, asshole. Get your shit together. Because that's how we did. That's how
it was a White Claw timeout.
This time I'm brought to you by White Claw. Andre had too many over the weekend. We'll be right back. So I understand how, for you, when you see something that's not written, grammatically correct, it agitates you. And for you, it's something that you do. You've written books. You've written kind of for newspapers. You've written for websites that matter, and some that haven't. It's what you do. So it does affect you. I totally get that. Here's a question for you, and I got to ask you this. My TV's on right now, and I'm watching that $2 million winner take it all basketball thing.
Okay.
And they're playing in Capital.
Yes,
the
regionals
right
this weekend at Capital University. Yes.
Yeah, and it's Peoria All-Stars versus Team Fredette. That has nothing to do with it. But I got to ask you this, and I know our basketball coaching and hoop friends will answer this, and then we can go back to our conversation, or you can direct it wherever you want. Why are so many AAU basketball coaches and basketball coaches for this fat as fuck?
The hard-hitting question is, Andre goes on a 10-minute rant about he's a professional journalist, and then he hits that question.
It's the podcast.
Hey, let me tell you this. Oh, my God. This really just happened. While you're doing this, right, I click over to the Barberton Speedway Facebook page, and we would put up an announcement. My cousin called me right before we went on the air and said, hey, we're watching the radar. I'll call you back at 12:30. Put up a post that says we'll make the final call at 12:30. And so the very first reply below it, a guy says, too soon, T.O. Oh, no. No.
Oh, damn. That's good.
Like I said, listen, I am a grammar snob. I'm a snob in other areas of my life. But and I don't care. I try to say to kids, like the whole thing. We talked about Josh Hader the other day, and we don't know how that'll go.
Yeah.
I think everybody's rooting for a second chance and this to become a positive for him, right? And also I don't think the Brewers are going to cut him. The dude's a 22-year-old all-star, right? So hopefully he will take his medicine, he will face his consequences, and not only he will become better, but all will become better, because hopefully this will stop somebody else, not just from getting into trouble, but from doing the stupid shit, right? That's the whole thing. But here's my thing on that, Dre. So this is a story I wanted to tell as we shift gears from grammar, but along the whole presentation in social media. Here's how it matters. So I try to turn on my iPhone, my notifications off, just because when I'm not on my phone, and frankly, it's nobody else's business who's texting me or what's popping up, right? So the one thing, I've turned off all my Twitter notifications and whatever else. Honestly, a lot of text notifications, except from a few certain people that would be texting me in a situation where I feel like I need to see it right away, right?
Right.
So anyway, I did not turn off my Instagram notifications. I thought I did. I just pressed the wrong button, something like that. So anyway, I wake up this morning, and I'm looking at my texts and weather alerts and whatever else pops up, and I see this notification of an Instagram comment left on one of my photos from the golf outing yesterday. One that is kind of an inside joke, but it was kind of hilarious, right? So I chuckle, and I go on, and as I wake up over the next 2 or 3 minutes, I think of this great response to write back to this person. Well, I go on the posts, and it's not there. So she obviously deleted it, right? Because I hadn't been on Instagram. I was asleep for 7 hours. So I hit her up, and I say, hey, that is funny. I don't think you needed to delete that. But I guess I understand why you did. And without going into details of who's who here, she said, I agree it was funny, and I would look forward to your reply. She just said, as the wife of the coach of blank blank team, I didn't want that to be misconstrued and come back on us. And
right.
That right there is the lesson, right? There's lesson in what Josh Hader did. There's lesson in Josh Hader taking the medicine. There's lesson for you young kids in not to do that. And if you have done it, delete it. But that's my whole thing. That's my whole presentation right there, is you're signing your name to this. And then therefore you're signing the names of how you're known. Right, and whether you're in the sports business or not, whether you work for a major corporation or not, I mean, it's your name, right? So it's all in the social media presentation. And again, I hate to get preachy because it's not like we've never fucked up or we won't again. We both will. It's not like I won't say two with 1 O when I mean two on occasion and it'll keep me up at night, right? It's not like I'll never tweet something dumb or allow myself to get into a Twitter argument or whatever else. That's just the whole deal. Is she consciously said, of the 2% chance that this could come back to be taken the wrong way or made a blog post out of or whatever it is, I just thought it was best to delete it. And I thought, wow, that's both A, refreshing, B, intelligent, and C, like something I need to share in this format.
You absolutely no. I'm glad you said that because social media is goofy to me, and I'll just go off the relationship of you and I. And because my wife cracks up at half the stuff that you put up, or at different times, and then she'll ask me why I put certain stuff up, or why I don't say certain things, or why I do say certain things, and because she'll always say people can take you the wrong way, people won't know that people don't know the inside joke, they run with it in the wrong way, and they look at you differently, or they judge you differently, and my first statement is always, I don't care how I'm judged, I know I'm a good person, I'm just dealing with my friends. Now that's just the conversation that I say. But then it goes back to, as a parent, she's like, all right, well, if your kids saw it, what would you want your kids to say? Now, that's a step you haven't had to go through. And my kids, well, hell, my Bella's smart enough. She probably can read and figure it out. But
I'll learn to read.
You're right. Oh, dude, I can't even tell. Like, we were having a discussion about something. She said something that was so smart and it was so right that I literally just got up out of the room. I was like, all right, I was like, so what are we having for lunch? I just walked away. I was like, I can't take this little mini-me just telling us what to do. but she was right. And it's a shame. Like the Josh Hader thing, and this is the last thing I'll say about it. I'm kind of torn about the reaction to it. We have the super-duper reactions now to every – I always say at my house, to every, for every cause there's an effect, whatever happens. Mm-hmm. Josh Hader – okay, was 17 years old. At 17 years old, you know what's right and what's wrong. I truly believe that. I'll never not think that or believe that. But at the same time, I can't – and you and I have had this discussion about coaches. We have it about the coach you're about to be around for the next 8 years, next 8 months maybe.
Weeks.
See, that's the type of thing we can't tweet or put on Instagram. But I can't judge a 17-year-old like I judge a 27-year-old or however old Josh Hader is. But at the same time, like MLB, I feel like MLB is in a weird position of they put a statement out, they're gonna make him take classes and things of that nature. But let's be real. Will that really change who Josh Hader is? I don't know who he is. I don't know him personally.
Well, that's a great question. Let me cut you off, though. Okay. That's a great question. And obviously, as a member, as a Major League Baseball player, as a member of the Milwaukee Brewers, as a guy who's got a chance to have a long and really good career, matters to us. But the ultimate question of, is that going to change who Josh Hader is? That's for Josh Hader to answer, Jay.
Right.
That's what it is. So hopefully, he will one day say, look, I thought I had made it big, and then my whole life changed, and I set out on a mission to not be defined by that stupid shit that I tweeted. Now, It was stupid. I tweeted it. I owned it. But from then on, I did this. And I absolutely agree it should include all that mandatory counseling or whatever. And he's going to have to face his teammates first and foremost, and he's going to have to face opposing fans and all these things.
Right. Well,
it's going to be a hell of a process.
Yes, but what I was going to say is the real class that he's got to deal with is his 24 teammates. And the Lorenzo Cain was – because the reason I was getting there, and I'm glad you answered the question as I asked it. The reason I say that is, yeah, class is important, I guess. But if you force – it's like – I hate to compare this to like alcoholism or drugs. If you force me to go to a class just think of any class you were forced to go to at any time of your life. You half-ass it and do what you got to do so you can get the hell out of it for the most part. The true test of life for Josh Hader is how he's treated within that clubhouse. Yeah, fans are assholes. Fans are going to say stuff. Fans say stuff to everybody, especially after a couple cocktails, after a couple brews. Excuse me. Yes, he's going to have to deal with that. But the true judgment of his life, or the true class of life, is going to be in that clubhouse, because even though Lorenzo Cain came right out and was like, yeah, Josh is a good dude, he's all right, things happen. Because we all know, when someone has said or did something like that, we pay attention to the little things they do a little bit more closely, right?
Sure.
Like you pay attention to the jokes that they say a little bit closer. You pay attention to, how they deal with people. I mean, it's unfortunate, but it's how we are. It's just, I guess my frustration comes from, we're judging it. I don't know the dude one way or the other, period. But we're judging the dude over what he tweeted out. Are they stupid? Sure. Are they ridiculous? Sure. I just saw another actor. I saw an actor. I don't even know the actor, but he just got in trouble and lost his job because of tweets. Now, his were like pedophile tweets. They were awful.
Yeah.
But he lost his job. It's just funny that it's not funny that we're in this time and place. It's just eye-opening that being an idiot at 17, 18, 16 years old, and this is a true lesson that you give when you talk about social media. What you say in 2000 can come back and bite you. What you said in 2010 can come back and bite you.
And now more than ever, in what I guess today's generation has the advantage, Dre, that 10 years ago, now people that are 25, 28, 32, now they know. Right? Now you know.
That's right.
So there's even less of an excuse.
Yeah, no, there's no excuse for it. I don't know why. Hey, personally, I don't know why you would tweet that type of shit anyway.
Sure.
But it is what it is. All right, I'm going to ask you some football questions since I can't get my question answered on Asking Jackson. You racist on that Athletic. I'm an Athletic. I carry the mail for the Athletic. I can't get my question answered on the Athletic. Hey, man, I saw some pictures of that Vitali dude, the fullback. He was like at Muscle Beach the other day.
Yeah.
He is freaking huge.
He's a tank.
He is yes. I mean, I was like, damn. All right, this is a real question. Can the Browns average? How many points did the Browns average last year?
14.
Can they average 20 in 2018?
Yeah, I mean, without diving too far into the numbers, they were a full touchdown a game away from even being in the middle of the pack scoring wise. So yeah, so 20 is the number that you signify if you're going to be even a 6-10 team, right?
Right.
I mean,
right.
So yes, can they be? Sure. I think I think it could be a really good run blocking line, and I think with combination of Chubb and the other two backs, and some of those guys, that they can really get it going that way. I think the run game will open things up for the small quarterback, no matter which one it's going to be. And it does seem silly to jump in front of the Tyrod train right now.
Yeah, that was my last question. You already, but go ahead.
Okay, well, listen, shameless plug here and telling the truth. If you guys aren't subscribed to The Athletic, do it now. The best camp preview you're going to find is in my 2,000-word mailbag. Correct, Jay?
Yeah.
Thank
you. Ride the horse. Ride your snobby horse. He's
you bitch.
You guys, this might be the realest A to Z you guys have ever gotten.
It might be. It might be.
Here's my next question that I got for you when it comes to the 2018 Cleveland Browns. How has the storyline of what's going to happen at left tackle not been bigger? And to me, that's the biggest. Is there a bigger choice in what will happen on the starting 22 than what's going to happen at left tackle?
Here's why I don't think it's been bigger, because I think they didn't really have the open competition during the spring. They tried guys, but they just made sure people were getting their reps. And Corbett did not get many at left tackle. But then it comes to the spring, and it's like, okay, well, here's who's first in line at this position, this position, this position. And now we're signing Greg Robinson, which is a sign of desperation, right? Mm-hmm. And we're not sure. We don't want to move Bitonio out, but we've come out publicly and acknowledged privately that might have to happen. So I think that's why. I do agree it's the biggest battle. Is it the most important? I don't know, because I don't think you have to have a Hall of Fame left tackle. We saw him win no games with one, right, for a while. But,
True.
Yeah, I mean, you have a really highly paid line that should be the strength of your team, is without a doubt the most experienced group of your team. And you not only want to get the right guy, but you want to get him as soon as possible because so much of O-line play is timing and rhythm and all of those things. I think, Trey, I think that Austin Corbett will win it because even though he doesn't have ideal size in Green Bay, and we know who's running the team now, they got away with it with Brian Bulaga for a long time. And I just think you pick a guy at 33, you plan to start him. So Sean Coleman has the upper hand because he has played a full year because he's 25 years old, going in. But I do think if they, from day one this Thursday, if it's a real competition and they're getting 10 reps, 5 reps, whatever it is, I do think Corbett will win it. I think they believe Desmond Harrison could be their left tackle in 2019. But, I mean, this is a guy that's only played 1 year of football in 3 years, undrafted baggage from his past, and just getting him to go from West Georgia to being a pro, I think is going to take some time. And then, of course, you have Bitonio that could do it. You have Chris Hubbard that you signed to be the right tackle that could do it. And you kind of see what happens. But, yeah, that's the one, real question mark that's a concern as far as who's on as far as who's on hand. There's obviously other concerns. Are you going to be good enough? But as far as this is going to be our 22 when we play the Steelers in 6 weeks, that's the one. Yes.
All right. This is in my opinion, and I'm not there every day, but I keep up the way I can keep up. I read all your stuff. I think this is the most talented section of running backs we will ever see with the Browns. I think Carlos Hyde is talented. I know he's not a great pass catcher. I like the kid that they drafted, and I like the kid that they just gave the big contract to. How in the world will Hugh Jackson and crew keep all three of those running backs happy?
Well, I think
I shouldn't say happy, but how will they use all three?
Well, listen, barring injury, you don't keep all three happy. I think on Thursday that Carlos Hyde will get the first carry. There's nothing that is indicated that will change. We know Duke Johnson's going to have a role. Now, is it different with better players around him? Ideally, you're not losing by 14 every week. There's a different play caller.
Right.
But, he's a third down back who can do some other things, right? He's not necessarily ruled out from winning the starting running back's job, but you just think it'd be one of the other guys. I think Chubb is super talented and in time will win the job. So, I don't think you're going to get to a Sunday in September, Dre, where Chubb's going to carry at 18, Hyde's going to carry at 10, and Duke's going to have 5 and 5. But I do think to some extent you can play all three, and then it sorts out from there. And then they feel like, okay, say Chubb wins it and runs his wheels off, we still have Hyde in the bullpen for if we're playing meaningful games down the stretch.
Right. All right, good answer. This is my last one. A couple other things I want to hit you with, and then because I know you might be running out.
I got to be somewhere in 11 minutes. So. Okay.
All right. Let's keep going. So give me short answers. And this is the last Browns related. Then I got another NFL question I got to ask you.
Okay.
Why? I roll my eyes when I hear this whole conversation just because the kid's the number one pick. He should be the starting quarterback. Why the Cleveland media, Cleveland fans can't just be patient and let Tyrod Taylor start 8 games? Do I got to start talking about bananas again already?
Yeah, not already. I would save that. First of all, I think I know publicly and privately there's legit excitement for Tyrod Taylor, and that's not just Hugh Jackson saying we have our quarterback.
I agree.
Right? I think they will let it be, Dre, and I think if Tyrod plays well, but the reality is you've been the laughingstock for years and haven't had a quarterback in 30 years, and you make the guy the number one pick, that's your guy eventually, right? So we know what's looming out there. So I think –
we can wait for that. You've been a laughingstock for this long. Having some patience and not being the laughingstock for longer, that's been the issue.
You're right. But tell me this. You're right. I completely agree with you. But at 1-3, it's going to change. It is what it is. Tyrod is unquestionably the quarterback until he's not. So let's see what happens.
All right. Yeah. This is not the last time we're going to have this conversation. Last football question. I would ask you about the anthem thing, but the anthem thing has been a joke and it's killing the steam of the NFL. They should just figure it out and take care of it. I don't want to get political and deal with that. But I got to ask you, boss move. I'm taking this from Jacoby and Jalen Rose. Shout out to Jalen Rose, marrying a girl that he works with. Very Berea-like. Speaking of Berea, and I got to give him credit for something else. Hey, man, that office spoof they did is better than anything HBO has done so far on the Browns. I give them credit social media-wise. They're killing it. My man Mark Podolak doing a great job with the season tickets. It's fun to see all you guys excited for that. See, I can say positive things about the Browns. I know people that work there and do good work. All right, that's all I'm going to say positive about.
They're starting to act like it. Look, don't look now, but they're starting to act like a legitimate NFL organization.
They really are. And when they are, we give them credit for that. I got to bring this up. Boss move, or did you cringe when you saw Jimmy Garoppolo's date that's all over TMZ?
You know, that I'm so glad you brought this up, because this kind of goes to our initial discussion of, you're a grown person, you do what you want, right? But especially in this day and age, you know people are watching. You know you're going to be judged. So I don't think Jimmy is hurting in that department by any means.
Nah, he's a good-looking brother, man.
But what do I know? And I feel like that if he didn't, then he does know now that, you know, everything he does is going to be scrutinized, and when he does that, it's going to end up tabloids, Twitter, all these things. So, welcome to 2018, Jimmy. Can't wait to keep watching you play football.
I'm sure Tom Brady's somewhere snickering.
Hey, it goes back to the old saying, right? I don't care who's in your bed on Saturday night or where you go to church on Sunday morning, right? Like,
there it is. You're right.
Right?
You're right.
It's your business.
Right. Speaking of, Rules of A to Z came out in my ride here in Arlington. Matt Underwood just gets a car and drives us to the park. So yesterday we're driving to the park. I'm in the back seat. We got to get cameras because it's so like riding with Deke and Donovan when I used to do that. I sit in the back seat and Matt and Rick driving. Matt drives. Rick sits in the passenger seat. And Rick, we call him he's like the anvil. He like breaks radios with his heavy ass hands. And he can't figure out what he wants to listen to. And he wants to listen to old classic rock. And you got these two younger guys that are going, "Hey, old man, can you listen to something that we listen to?" But anyway. Yesterday we were talking about said athlete. We won't say, I can't tell the story. I'd get in trouble. But it was about dating. And Matt out of nowhere yells out, "Dre, tell him the rules. There's only two things undefeated." And Miss Jackson turned down the sound real quick, and I just yelled out, "Pussy in the air."
And on that note, we're getting out of here. Facebook.com/A to Z Podcast, A to Z Podcast.com. Thanks to Scene, to Honeymoon Grill, and AmericanFireworks.com. We'll be back early this week with another edition before training camp starts and our schedules get real complicated. Thank you guys for listening, helping this thing grow. Tweet us out, share us out, but as we've always said, the best way you can help it grow is tell a friend, tell a neighbor, tell your wife, tell somebody else's wife to listen to A to Z. He's Andre, I'm Zach. We'll see you next time.
Hey, I'll try to be better on Twitter, you snob. Hey, konnichiwa.
I'm going to call you and cuss your ass out right now. See ya.